Hello. My name is Julien Moutte. I'm trained as a software developer originally, and I've worked in many startups that I've founded or co-founded, and then joined SAP in enterprise software as the chief technology officer for one of their business units for SAP um, customer experience. And I joined Bentley 3 years ago. So I have no experience in infrastructure as it is. But I'm learning fast. I'm drinking from the fire hose actually, and I have the luck to be supported by thousands of colleagues who are experts in that field. And it's an interesting partnership to bring all my expertise around enterprise software and cloud architecture to that world of infrastructure and see how it can benefit our users and accounts.
Okay, so you are now Bentley's Chief Technical Officer, is that correct?
Yes,
Does that
since
make you
April.
only the second in its history, if I'm not mistaken?
That's correct indeed. Yes, the previous CTO had a long tenure, so I'm the second in history indeed.
Okay, so along those terms, do you feel pressure being the first official successor to Keith Bentley, who has been there since the company started?
Yes, those are big shoes to fill, for sure. But it's also a very exciting experience for me. I've joined Bentley because I was very inspired by the vision of Keith Bentley and very aligned also with the way he's approaching things. And uh, and we share that same vision that we want to advance how infrastructure is designed, built, and operated. And we both believe that it can only be done by becoming data centric and by using digital twins. In that sense, there is that pressure, but we are both fighting for the same cause, and I'm planning to continue on that same journey and to carry the flag even further and to even accelerate on the delivery on that vision. There's also pressure that we're both feeling as the world is changing fast too, and we see the emergence of artificial intelligence, or more specifically, generative artificial intelligence, and uh, and we are both working on and seeing how much of that pressure we can handle to push our products in the right direction and enhance them with those capabilities for the benefits of our users and accounts, right? Um, and then maybe more personally, I would say that there's a bit of the imposter syndrome because of maybe that not being part of the industry, not having been trained as a civil engineer or mechanical engineer. Um, but like I said, it's really an interesting domain where I think that the complementarity of my skills applied to that industry can help us advance and 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 deliver on that vision that I've mentioned before.
Okay, so you mentioned that you think that your philosophy is kind of aligned with Keith. So you're trying to maintain some more consistency in this role rather than doing things differently with somebody new.
Absolutely, yes. So we are really trying to drive that same vision, which Key started quite some years ago about creating that platform for digital twins, which we call the iTwin platform, making this the foundation that all our products are leveraging to integrate with each other, but also to expose and surface the data, the engineering data to our users. And that is something that we both believe is needed in our industry, and that I'm planning to deploy together with the teams in our technology strategy, in our technology vision.
Okay, great. So before becoming the CTO, am I correct that you were the vice president of technology before that?
Indeed, yes. I joined 3 years ago, and I was part of the product group, having some kind of business unit CTO role again, but mostly focusing on the products.
And what would be the major differences between that role and what you're doing now? What do you think the biggest changes are between those two roles?
Well, there's an increase of scope, obviously, because some of the divisions or the departments of the company were not part of that product group immediately. So, for instance, our acquisition of Sequent, which is working on underground data and all the tools to be able to work with that data, was not part of my scope. It now is. Also, our digital integration arm, which is called Cohesive, which helps us deliver the value of our products to our users as we help them integrate and deliver solutions to them, but also all our acquisitions. So the scope has been broadening quite a bit, right? Um, in terms of in terms of change, it's also more, I feel more empowered in delivering that vision that I've discussed before, and making sure we have this consistent approach of the technology strategy and vision across that increased scope. So that feels good because we can really chase the big picture now. It's also a lot of great conversations like this one, where I get to share our thoughts and vision with the press, with our accounts, with our users, and I mean, we've used AI for quite some time in our products. As I was mentioning, this is bringing some new pressure on all of the vendors on that sector. And in my new role, I get to define what is our positioning on top on AI. What do we do? What do we let our users do with that data? How do we protect that data? And defining that vision is something also that I need to do in my new role, which I take very seriously.
At the recent Bentley conference in Singapore, you spoke at length about the promise of AI as a co-pilot or an assistant. Can you summarize Bentley's AI philosophy and how the company is adding AI into its product portfolio?
First, I think it's important to realize that AI has been part of our products for quite some time already. There's a lot of different fields in AI, right? And one of the fields of AI that we've been using quite substantially in our products is computer vision, being able to analyze photos, videos, point clouds, and try to detect cracks and rust and vegetation and spalling is something that our users have been benefiting from for quite some time already. But also being able to do predictive maintenance, understanding when something might fail based on the historical data, the readings, the IoT sensors that we can capture. So AI has been there for a while, and it's already delivering a lot of benefits. Now we get a lot of questions about generative AI, right? I mean, since the launch of ChatGPT, which was more than a year ago, we get a lot of questions, and what are the capabilities about leveraging the existing data of the engineering firms to help them create designs faster and to automate a lot of the work that they are doing. Because indeed, as generative AI is appearing, many are concerned about what's going to happen with my job. Is AI going to do the work, etc.? And really, in the infrastructure sector, we don't really believe that's the case. We really believe that AI will not replace engineers. It will augment engineers with increased productivity and a lot of automation, right? So that's one of the things we've presented during our conference at Singapore, which is that vision that AI will not replace those engineers, it will augment them, and it will automate a lot of the repetitive and tedious tasks that they need to do, right? And the engineers that will be able to leverage those AI capabilities, they will work faster, they will be more efficient than other engineers, and that will make, I believe, a difference in the market, and our tools are there to enable them with that, right? Also, an important point to understand is that infrastructure requires precision and reasoning for safety, right? So we want to use generative AI, we want to use AI techniques as much as possible, but we want to make sure we ground that generative AI and the designs it might help generate with all the structural analysis, the simulations, the local codes, all the physical rules that our tools are able to enforce, because there's a lot of that intelligence, which is not artificial, that is ingrained in those products. And generative AI can be so much more productive and useful if it can provide designs and assess those designs with a lot of tools that can tell what is the carbon footprint of that design? Is that design going to be able to withstand some kind of a structural stress, or how will it perform in a specific simulation? And we believe that combining generative AI with our tools in that matter is going to be very beneficial for our users. And that's what we've been presenting at Singapore earlier this year.
So you mentioned that AI has been around for a long time, and it has, but it's been gone by different terms and different descriptions. But since AI became, I guess, kind of a buzzword with ChatGPT and all of that, I've noticed that a lot of people now are calling things AI specifically, and even changing product names to include AI, that, you know, we're basically the same product, but now it's AI enhanced. What do you say to engineers who are hearing all of this and are thinking that AI is hype and maybe not something that they need to jump in with until it's kind of become more evolved?
So as we've mentioned before, this is my third year at Bentley. So I've seen three of those conferences we have around the end of the year, and at every of those conferences, we celebrate the achievements and the outcomes that some of our users and accounts have been able to achieve with our products. And I can see the trend where more and more of those achievements are achieved by using and leveraging artificial intelligence. And when I say artificial intelligence here, I'm speaking about the broad term artificial intelligence, right? It's not only generative AI. So I don't think that for all of those accounts, there's any turning back, right? All the ones that have automated asset inspections with drones and being able to analyze thousands of pictures and point clouds automatically to be able to capture the defects that they need to address. They don't want to have people going back on bridges and hanging from ropes to be able to inspect those assets. There's also the users and teams that have been able to automate the design of structures and considering thousands of alternatives to find the best possible design. Again, there's no turning back from them. The productivity gain they've achieved is something that they cannot let go. So just basing myself on those facts, I think that AI is there to stay. I mean, it's not a hype, right? But what some might be considering as maybe being more controversial is really this difference of language models, this kind of dream that some have that at some point AI will become, a general AI, which they call AGI, and it's going to be able to do reasoning, etc. I think in the engineering world, we have a much better understanding of the fact that it's not only about statistics and about being able to infer the right answer to some specific question. There needs to be some reasoning, and we've seen that large language models have limitations in reasoning as well. So we need to find the right way to leverage those AI models together with the intelligence that is already in those existing tools to provide design and recommendations that will help accelerate the work of those engineers. And there, I think there is no hype. I mean, an engineer that is able to consider a lot more alternatives and exploring the design space much faster because AI is able to provide recommendations that are informed by structural analysis, simulations, carbon footprints, and you name it. They're going to be so much more productive, and the designs and the infrastructure they will build with those tools will be so much better. Then again, there will be no turning back.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's going to be any turning back, and it's going to be more and more used and incorporated. That leads to one of the couple of major problems is how do the owners and builders know if the people that are doing designs are relying on AI too much without that human oversight? Like perhaps like, the writers perhaps plagiarizing essays is kind of an example. How do we know that that's not being done in infrastructure? Are there rules being developed for engineering to kind of limit what's acceptable use of AI? And does engineering and infrastructure need these kind of rules?
I think we do like many sectors, and it's inspiring to see that, for instance, the US and the EU, they have been moving very fast, at least much faster than in the past, on developing regulation around AI because they see the urgency around that. I think just a few days ago, I think it was last week, the EU announced they were finding a consensus around the Artificial Intelligence Act. The US government did something similar very recently as well. So those rules are being baked right now, and I think those rules would be beneficial because they are looking at the usage of AI systems and they are ranking them based on risks and safety. And I think we can both agree that infrastructure is going to rank pretty high in that risk and safety scale, and those rules are going to be very welcome. Now, we shouldn't let the fear of what AI can bring deter us from being able to harvest the efficiency gains that it can bring to the table. Computers have been helping with design for quite some time already, right? That was the base of CAD, right? Computer-assisted drawing, and a lot of the designs that are being built today, even though they might not be using generative AI, they've been using computer tools to generate a lot of that design and to validate the fact that the design is safe and sound and that it's going to comply with the regulation and codes. As long as this is enforced, the owners don't really need to be worried about the fact that that AI has been used to craft some of those designs and to analyze potential It's just a different algorithm to arrive to a better result, right? The thing that might be concerning for those owners and maybe for the design firms is actually to protect their competitive edge, the creative work that they put in those designs, right? And that is that is something where the onus is on us. We need to provide them with the tools and the controls to make sure that they can leverage their existing data and make sure that data is being used to inform and steer the designs and the alternatives that are proposed to the designers so that they can work faster and they can provide something that is of high quality to their customers, while protecting that data and make sure that data doesn't leak to other of their competitors or other systems, and that they understand why are the decisions that have been taken for that specific design, why are they there, and to be able to justify and put their professional engineering stamp on designs that they trust and where they can understand the reasoning.
I'm looking forward to hearing how these rules and these codes come up for AI and how they affect things. And that also leads to another one of the major concerns, and you spoke about it, is the intellectual property of users' data, not just in the projects themselves, but in the AI models. A lot of time that is incorporated into the training and to making these products better. Can you summarize Bentley's philosophy in intellectual property and users' data? How is it protecting user data, and can users receive benefits and rewards if they allow their data to be used for AI training? Is that a thing?
Well, thanks for asking that question, because that's a really important point for us. Our stewardship, our credo is really that the data of our users is their data always, and they retain control on how that data is being used and if it's being used. And that is so important, because first, the ownership of that engineering data is sometimes not very well understood, right? I mean, is the owner of that data the owner of the asset that commanded the work? Is this the design and engineering firm that has produced the models, where the usage of the data clearly defined at the beginning of the contract? And can that data be reused for future projects? There's a lot of question marks there, and our users need to have the control over how the data is potentially being used. They need to be able to consent to the usage of that data. And then when it's being used, they want to make sure that the data is benefiting their colleagues, their work, but they don't want the data to be used to train AI models that are going to benefit the competitor that is going to bid against them in a specific project. So for us, this is clearly a very important point which we've made to our teams and which we are enforcing in our tools and the way they manage that data. To make sure that the data is protected and that the controls are in place for those users to be in control of how the data is going to be used, right? So indeed, a very important point for us. What was the second part of your question? Sorry.
Just some of the details about how you are working about enforcing those rules, and also I was wondering if companies can they be rewarded, like even almost like monetized their data to be allowed for AI training? Is that something that it's ever come up?
Right. So that's indeed. There are some very rare cases. Well, rare cases. Some specific use cases where I think everybody can agree that the data itself, it's beneficial for everybody to have access to it, in the sense that training an AI model with that data is going to benefit everyone, and it's not going to take out any competitive edge. It's beneficial to contribute and to collaborate. A good example of that is reality data, the photos of cracks, the photos of rust, the photos of vegetation. If those photos can be contributed and help an AI model be much more efficient at detecting cracks, and this benefits everyone, I think for those cases, we have some partnerships with some of our accounts to be able to bring that data to the table and to make better AI models for that, and to discuss potentially how they can be monetizing some of that. But those are really specific use cases, and that's not really our default approach. And our default approach, the data is really the data of the users, and it benefits their specific projects. And it's not something we monetize or we help them monetize to other users directly.
My next question is, you also spoke at the conference about the automation of drawings, going from these models and then bringing the drawings, and then how AI can save a lot of time there, which is a lot of money. Can you kind of summarize your thoughts on that topic?
Absolutely. So to the point I was making, that AI is not going to replace engineers, but it's going to augment them with automation and productivity gains. one of the key point where we see the key pain point that we see and we hear from our users and accounts is really the fact that we do 3D design and 3D modeling with our tools, but they have to produce drawings on paper to convey that information. And that takes so much time in their day-to-day activities. Between 30 to 50% of the project cost is consumed by the production of drawings. So applying AI to help the designers to generate better designs faster is one thing, but applying AI to delegate or to automate some of those repetitive and tedious tasks is also very beneficial, so that we can also address some of the talent shortage that the market is experiencing. There's so much work to be done with the infrastructure bills, with all the climate change pressure that is imposed on infrastructure. And those engineers, we don't have enough of them. They don't have enough time. They're working more than they used to in the past. And we want to make sure that AI is helping them handle all of that work. And the automation of drawing production is clearly a key point where we heard from our users that this would have such a massive impact on their work life. So AI is very well suited for that, understanding and detecting what part of the models are relevant to produce a drawing. Because it's automated, it can almost be done on demand, right? So you don't need to spend a lot of time by creating always the same drawings. At some point, AI could be generating drawings on demand. And making sure that those drawings have the information conveyed in the most clear and readable way is also something AI can be really good at. So that's one of the key points where we are researching to see how we can augment the workforce of our users and accounts by providing this kind of automation.
So just to help me and others kind of visualize this, what would be like a specific example of AI automating the creation of drawing process?
So we have a research project going on right now for site design, which I've been giving a glimpse of during the conference in Singapore. And in that demo, we're showing that the designer was designing a site with parking lots and buildings and access ways, and then from that design, being able to generate the different sheets for hydraulics, for the grading, etc., and have all those sheets automatically labeled and framed so that they fit on the target format. So that's a tool where you can pick the kind of drawings that you are looking for, and have the AI model produce a proposal, which you can then refine by flagging some things you would like to change, and have the AI model refine its proposal until you get to a drawing that is satisfactory for the engineer. But they basically save all the time of manually placing all those labels on the sheet, and can interact with the AI model much more efficiently.
So besides AI, what are some of the key technologies that you and the company are focusing on right now and leading to the conference and after this conference?
Going back to the strategy and vision that I've mentioned at the beginning, which we were very aligned on with Keith, and we still are, is this idea that we create that platform where all the tools, all our products are integrating with each other. And I think infrastructure is a very interesting sector because we have the complete life cycle of an infrastructure asset, which is being worked on by a lot of different experts and disciplines, but they all work on the same infrastructure in the end. And one of the key points that we also receive from our users, the key point of feedback, is that they want those tools to work together much more fluently and seamlessly than they are today. And one of the key initiatives that we also have, and you could say it's a foundation to being able to leverage AI efficiently, is to really make sure that we connect all of those products together and make them contribute to the creation in the background transparently for you of a digital twin. So you do modeling on MicroStation or OpenRoads or OpenBridge, and by doing that modeling, you're starting to create the digital twin that you will then be able to leverage and pick up again in the next tool that will do your, construction planning, for instance, or scheduling, and you use that same model, and the digital twin is being enriched and kept up to date all the time. So even if we don't do AI on top of that data foundation, I think just having the data foundation and having it up to date, because all the tools you could use are keeping that data fresh, is in itself a massive advancement. And that's one of the topics that is very dear to our hearts. And if we are able to achieve that, and we are well underway, because we've announced first integration of MicroStation with iTwin earlier this year in our conference, then leveraging AI becomes so much more powerful because you have that data layer and the digital twins as the building blocks on top of it. And AI can be so much more impactful because it has access to all of that data.
Speaking of company passions, I also did some research and saw that you are also passionate about using technology to limit climate change and the damage that's being done. I know that that's kind of a big topic and I don't have a ton of time here, but can you quickly summarize how you see engineering technology and Bentley technology aiding in this endeavor?
To me, I think we're trying to tackle three big problems. We've talked about the productivity problem, the amount of work that is ahead of us, right? And how technology can help automate some of this. But there's two big problems, which are the infrastructure we need to build or rebuild or maintain. That infrastructure needs to be built differently because we want that infrastructure to be built creating a solution and not contributing to the problem, right? So concrete, the transportation, the energy to build infrastructure is potentially something that can contribute. And we need to build that infrastructure better. This is what we call our handprint. And we try to make sure that our tools are able to help the engineers and the designers create that infrastructure in the best possible way so that it's consuming less material, it is easier to construct, it has a lower carbon footprint and an environmental impact where it's being built. And the third problem to me is really the fact that this infrastructure is going to last for 100 years and it's going to sustain our quality of life and have to sustain climate conditions that are going to be very, very difficult. And we have to design this infrastructure in a way that is going to be resilient. So again, AI can help a lot there to help those engineers consider what will be the performance of a specific design when there is a hurricane or when there is a scorching summer or flood or the sea level rises. And technology can help a lot by making sure we are part of the solution, not the problem, and making sure we build infrastructure that is going to sustain our quality of life in the most resilient way as possible.